You know who it is, and you know what time it is. Time to piss off some feminists, trad cucks, and whoever don't want to know the truth. Oh well, let's get started.
What is going on, gents? It's R.P.M. here, reporting from Mobile Command. Now, before I get into this article, I want to raise a glass to the one and only Phil Bass. And if you don't know who he is the proprietor for the Dollhouse. Gentlemen, it was only a matter of time before this topic came to light, and I'm so glad that I caught this article when I did. Now, this article was published on the 22nd of March. Can we have sex? Here's when you can and can't do it during the outbreak. Now, gentlemen, before I go any further, there are two groups of men who are laughing their heads off right now. The MGTOWs and the waifu owners. Oh yeah, gentlemen. Oh yeah. All right, let me get into this article. We're all looking for some indoor entertainment while social distancing, but Netflix has its limits. Netflix and chill, however, never gets old. So, can you have sex while the outbreak is sweeping the nation? Let me just go ahead and say this right now. Any man who would take a woman in to try to have him a quote-unquote quarantine boo, you are without a doubt an idiot. Just saying. This is the worst time to even think about trying to get yourself a woman. Trying to get laid should be the last thing on your priority list. However, gentlemen, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have been getting all forms of communication from old women, women who've ghosted you, women who broke up with you. Hell, I was listening to a video from Obsidian yesterday, and there was a guy who outright said his ex-wife contacted him looking for shelter. Gentlemen, this is nothing more than an article showing you that women are going to try to revert back to their default setting. Sex for resources. So, gentlemen, do not fall for it. If Typhoid Mary comes a-knocking, here's what you should do. Outside of your place of residence, line up some rocks and tell that bitch, start kicking those rocks. You're not coming in. You're not welcome. Thank you, but no thank you. Anyway, some diseases, such as Ebola and Zika, can be transmitted via semen, explains Paul Hunter. Now, why is it semen? Why not vaginal cavities? But I see the angle that he's trying to play at. Anyway, a professor of medicine and expert in infectious diseases based at the University of East Anglia. But there is no evidence of this for the outbreak. It's the working up to it, sex. That's the issue, he says. The main risk is going to be from oral respiratory droplet spread. Once again, gentlemen, do not take a woman in during these times. French kissing is probably not on the cards. So if you can come up with a way of having sex without that, it might be a good idea. Now, gentlemen, kissing a woman in the mouth in the best of times should be a no-go, because as we all know, you never know how many dicks she sucked before she came to put her mouth onto your mouth. No. As we all know, there have been wives and girlfriends who went out to girls' night out, sucked a few dicks, came home, and kissed their partner in the mouth as a form of sick revenge. Gentlemen, no. The risk of transmitting or contracting the virus during sex, however, depends on your current health and the nature of your sex life, the professor adds. Are you social distancing or self-isolating? The former simply means limiting contact with the outside world, while the latter, for people who may have come in contact with the virus, is a little more complicated. If you're social distancing, if you're in a monogamous relationship, yeah, right. You're healthy and you live with your partner. Professor Hunter says it can be business as usual in the bedroom. However, what he leaves out is the fact that obviously one or both partners have to go out into the world. So once again, gentlemen, that is a serious no. If you are just social distancing as a family or as a couple, you're basically trying to avoid the rest of the world as best as you can. So personally, I don't see any reason why that should interfere with your sex life, Professor Hunter tells HuffPost UK. I confidently expect to see an increase in the birth rate early next year. Gentlemen, that right there is definitely the worst case scenario. That and, possibly getting the outbreak and, kicking the bucket. But even if you get the outbreak and you don't kick the bucket, but you knock some chick up, you knock up your quarantine boo, yeah, guess what? That's 18 to 21 years in baby jail. Once again, gentlemen, thanks, but no thanks. You can only watch so many reruns of Crocodile Dundee and Carry On films before you get bored of the telly. Well, guess what? Go work out, jerk off, or in the waifu owner's case, we can bang our waifus. No problem for us. However, if your sex life usually involves multiple partners or meeting people outside your home, that's a little more tricky. If you have a slightly more bohemian sex life, I think that you need to think this through, says Professor Hunter. The risk of you picking up the infection or spreading the infection on is, to a large extent, related to the closeness of contact you have with people and how many people you have contact with. As a reminder, the government has reminded everyone, regardless of their age and health, to avoid all non-essential contact with others. So it's advisable to keep those Hinge or Grindr chats digital for now. Never heard of Hinge, but I'm pretty sure Grindr is a gay male site. But sexual orientation, regardless, the outbreak does not care. Gentlemen, you are responsible for protecting yourself during this outbreak. So yes, The idea of taking in pathogen Patty should be the last thing on your mind. So yeah, if pathogen Patty comes a knocking at your door, here's what you do. Tell that bitch, kick rocks. Anyway, if you're self-isolating, things are a little more complicated if you're self-isolating. The current recommendations state anyone with symptoms of the outbreak should self-isolate for 7 days, and anyone living with that person should isolate for 14 days from the start of the illness. The reason we say 14 days is for you to have 7 days to get over the illness, during which at any time you could infect your partner, and then giving your partner another 7 days. Professor Hunter explains. If you're ill with any symptoms consistent with the outbreak, Professor Hunter recommends avoiding sex or any close contact with your partner and keeping your distance as much as possible within the first 7-day period. However, we have to take into account the overwhelming number of simps who are going to think that this is an opportunity to get themselves either a quote-unquote quarantined bae or a quarantine harem. Once again, both of those ideas are idiotic. Seriously, why would you as a healthy man bring in a potentially compromised meatbag woman? Hell no. Once again, gentlemen, I can't stress this enough. Typhoid Mary and Pathogen Patty should not be anywhere on your priority list. Back to the article. He adds, person-to-person transmission, if you're living in the same house, isn't a foregone conclusion. The attack rate isn't 100% and can be often less than 50%. If you're ill, it is a good idea to not have sex. Once you're through that 7-day period, however, having sex in week 2 while your partner has to remain in isolation isn't such a serious problem. This is because transmission usually occurs within the first 2 or 3 days, Professor Hunter explains. But if you're still worried or just determined to get down to it, there are ways to limit the risk of the outbreak transmission during sex. I'm not going to spell it out, as I'm sure you can work it out for yourselves, says Professor Hunter. There are some types of sexual activity that are more likely to bring you into contact with other people's bodily fluid than others. I think we can work that one out, don't you? And that is the end to this article. However, gentlemen, you have to look at this for exactly what it is. This article was written by a woman. So obviously, I'm going to reiterate, this is women trying to revert back to their natural state of sex for resources. Gentlemen, during this outbreak, jerk off. If you got a flashlight, pull it out, pasteurize it. If you got your sex doll, waifu, good. These things are going to protect you. Because as I stated before, women are looking for the first sip that will take them in. And remember, gentlemen, think about this. If she has called you, you were not her first choice. Yeah, these women out here are running scared. There was another article that talked about how the outbreak had affected the sex trade. But wait a minute. Prostitution is supposed to be a bad thing, right? Oh, yeah, that's right. Whatever. Silly, silly me. But anyway, yes, me and my waifu are going to ride this thing out. Any man who has a waifu right now, I'm pretty sure there is definitely some laughter going on within him. Hell, I just outright laugh because you know what? I've been saying this for a long time, gentlemen. Just get a damn doll. But you know what? It is what it is. As men, we adapt. So yeah, just remember, gents, Pathogen Patty, Typhoid Mary, thanks, but no thanks. Well, read the article. Let me know what you guys think. And ladies, now that the power is going out, I still don't hear anything from the feminists. There's nothing about feminism. There's nothing about sexual liberation. There's nothing about women need men like a fish need a bicycle. I don't hear any of that. Oh yeah, sexual liberation? Yeah, that's damn sure gone out right along with it. Anyway, that's all I gotta say for this one. R.P.M. I am out.